Welcome to this explainer on Module 5, focusing on mastering electronic batch record exceptions. Today, we're getting right into exactly how you handle system departures without ever compromising your site's quality or compliance. Now, if you're working with manufacturing systems, you already know the software is constantly monitoring the process, right? But what actually happens when things don't go exactly to plan? Let's get into it.
Here's our roadmap for today. We've got 6 key areas to cover. 1. Exception concepts. 2. Exceptions versus deviations. 3. The workflow. 4. Overrides and control. 5. Review by exception. And finally, 6. Beating exception overload.
Okay, Section 1, Exception Concepts and Types. Let's kick things off by clarifying exactly what we mean when an electronic system flags an event during manufacturing.
So, to put it simply, an exception is a recorded departure from the expected execution path. It's helpful to think of your system like a really sophisticated alarm system. A beep might just mean a door opened exactly as expected, or, well, it might mean a breach. The system detects it, sure, but a human still has to judge it. And it's absolutely crucial to distinguish this from a real-time process alarm that needs an immediate physical response, or even just a simple alert. An exception actually becomes part of the permanent batch record.
You see, an exception is really just a signal for your judgment. It's not an automatic verdict. And because it's data, it has to be attributable and complete, strictly adhering to Alcoa Plus principles. If you look at the fundamental elements here, every single exception raised literally has to capture the when, the what, the who, and the why. That is non-negotiable to satisfy data integrity requirements. Now, the software categorizes these departures into specific types, just so you know exactly what kind of beep you're dealing with. For instance, you might see a parameter exception, say a temperature breaches an alert band. Or it could be a workflow exception, where the electronic routing just stalls. Or maybe an interface exception, where an integrated system, like a LIMS or a waste scale, fails to return the expected data. By defining a really clear taxonomy for all these, your site can actually start to spot meaningful trends rather than just staring at a wall of noise.
Moving right along to Section 2, Exceptions versus GMP Deviations. Now it's time we tackle arguably the biggest myth in the industry, that dangerous assumption that an electronic exception is the exact same thing as a GMP deviation.
So the absolutely crucial point to grasp is this. Not every electronic batch record exception is a GMP deviation. An expected exception is just a foreseeable event with a predefined approved handling path. Think of a documented reway when a tear gets disturbed, right? You capture the reason, you close it in line, done. A GMP deviation, on the other hand, is a broken window. It's an unplanned departure where the impact on product quality is entirely unknown. That legally requires an investigation, a root cause analysis, and potentially a CAPA.
Let that sink in for a second. You simply cannot use a basic electronic software container to hide or bypass a legally required investigation. Closing an electronic exception in your workflow doesn't just magically discharge your obligation to raise a deviation if the event was unplanned or if its impact on quality is unknown. The electronic record can absolutely trigger and link to the deviation, but it never, ever replaces it.
Okay, Section 3, the exception workflow. Let's look at how this builds from the initial system flag right the way through to final resolution. When an event occurs, the system doesn't just sit there silently. It detects the departure the moment it happens and automatically opens a discrete record. It captures all that contemporaneous context. We're talking the timestamp, the user, the specific step, and the exact rule that was triggered. Then it actively routes it to a named owner. This is brilliant because it prevents those orphan exceptions that just sit there and stall the batch. From there, it heads to supervisor review, and if certain thresholds of severity or repetition are hit, it triggers a quality escalation directly to the quality unit.
Section 4. Overrides and their control. So what actually happens when an operator genuinely needs to proceed past a rigid control that the system would normally enforce?
Well, overrides are incredibly powerful, but they are risky actions. They demand very strict control. If the system allows an override at all, it requires an authorized role to be authenticated at that exact moment. It requires a highly specific reason to be captured, no boilerplate text allowed here, and it writes an immutable audit trail entry. Remember, an override is not a data correction. It's a forward-looking decision to bypass a control, and it absolutely must be fully reconstructible by a reviewer later on.
Look, a single justified override, that might be completely fine. But if you find operators constantly mashing the override button like some sort of panic switch, that is a glaring warning sign. It usually means your limit is entirely unrealistic, your training is inadequate, or the interface itself is just fundamentally broken. An override should never become a normalized workaround. If it does, you need a serious redesign via change control.
And that brings us to the real climax of our explainer. Section 5, Review by Exception Explained. Now, this is a concept that promises massive efficiency, but it comes with some very strict regulatory conditions.
Does review by exception mean automatic batch release? People actually ask this dangerous question quite a lot, kind of hoping this software will just magically do the QA department's job for them. There's this huge misconception out there that if the system doesn't generate any alerts, well, the batch can just flow right out the door automatically.
Emphatically, no. Absolutely not. Review by exception does not mean no batch review takes place, and it certainly does not mean automatic release. The quality unit stays completely accountable for the whole shebang. Automation and review by exception are there to inform and support the judgment of the quality unit, but they never ever replace that human, deliberate release decision. Your quality responsibility does not just vanish into the software.
So what does it actually mean? Well, it means relying on validated system controls to enforce the routine correct path. This frees up your highly skilled reviewers to focus deeply on critical data, which, by the way, must still be reviewed every single batch, and those predefined exceptions that truly matter. But to do this defensibly, it has to be underpinned by a documented risk assessment, one that clearly justifies why certain routine entries don't need manual rechecking, simply because the validated system has already secured them. But of course, this entire elegant review philosophy completely falls apart if your personnel are just drowning in a flood of trivial system alerts. So let's look at Section 6, Beating Exception Overload. When reviewers are facing hundreds of alerts per batch, the entire system degrades. You get severe reviewer fatigue and habituation. Signatures, which are supposed to be your vital controls, just become meaningless reflexive clicks. The comments degrade into boilerplate nonsense like "okay" or "noted." And the real danger here, genuine, critical risks get completely hidden within that overwhelming noise of low-value alerts. It's like looking for a needle in a haystack. Just look at this brilliant case study from a site we'll call Northstar Biologics. Their reviewers were completely overloaded, but by tracking their metrics, they discovered that just 5 poorly tuned rules were generating roughly 80% of the volume. 80%! And they didn't just tell the reviewers to work harder. They actually retuned 4 nuisance thresholds and fixed 1 genuine interface fault under formal change control. The result? Exceptions per batch fell sharply and meaningful, focused review was completely restored. Because once you cure that overload, you can finally execute a proper, structured batch review. You verify that critical steps were actually executed. You ensure every single exception is actioned, commented on, and closed out. You confirm that any GMP deviations are fully investigated and resolved. And only then, with a really clear aggregate picture, can the quality unit make a deliberate, recorded decision on batch release. Want to leave you with a bit of a provocative thought to help you critically evaluate your own site. If you were to look at your exception logs right now, today, are you seeing real quality risks being effectively managed? Or are your highly skilled staff just endlessly clicking away on validated noise? Remember, at the end of the day, the technology should serve the quality unit, not the other way around. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer.